Why hello there, kind traveler. It's me, Dave Makes Noises, the Ryan Reynolds of Dungeons & Dragons storytelling on YouTube. Today's video comes straight from our very own subreddit, r/MrRipper. If you're curious as to how you may be able to get your story shared on the channel, feel free to drop it in there and share it with us. We live stream every Sunday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT, so please join us for that. And with that bit of business behind us, I beseech thee, D&D players of r/MrRipper, what is the best one-liner in your campaign? My group has a whiteboard where we write the best lines by our players. Do you have any great one-liners to make everyone's day better? I'll go first. My party member had failed his last death save just as the fight ended. As the respectable necromancer I am, I took his body with me. When we got back to our base, the player's new character was waiting for us. When I was confronted about the body, I responded, "It's not grave robbery if there's no grave." My human thief, AD&D First Edition, was with the rest of the party, fighting a room of automaton chickens. My character ran through the middle of the mechanical horde, stepping on the backs of robotic birds in order to help take care of the horde from behind. One of the chickens crit, dealing 20 plus damage, knocking my thief to -9. -10 was when I died. Before I fell unconscious, I let out the phrase that broke the table for 20 plus minutes. "Your mom was probably a vibrator." Ugh. I think the one that's been brought up the most has to be the 4 gold line. Our campaign has a traveling merchant that our party, unfortunately, has run into multiple times on our journey. He's a shady old man with a roulette, where each spin costs 4 gold, and winning on the roulette would result in getting various magic items. If you bought 1 or more spins, you'd have to roll a d20 to see if you won anything. Either a 1 or 20 works, but a 20 gives you the good shit, and while a 1 does also give you a prize, it was usually a shit magic item, like a pair of invisible boots that made loud noises when walking. We've only won a handful of prizes, and all of them were shit. None of our characters liked him either. Dude was hella shady, rude, and always going, "Oh, come on, you guys, it's only 4 gold." He even had his own theme song, so every time we heard the first notes, then we'd know. Oh, fuck, it's rough. So that merchant kind of became a meme in our group, and we've sometimes quoted him by saying, "4 gold, just for fun." As of writing this, we haven't seen him in-game for a long time. We're on session 26. I think it's been like 10 plus sessions since our last encounter with him. Hopefully he shows up soon. He's kind of fun to hate. Not so much a one-liner as more of a rhetorical question. Was in a homebrew setting, and one of the players and his character, let's call them Diego, was being a real jerk about a magic weapon that we received for killing a giant snake monster. Long story short, he ended up whining enough to the point where my character practically gave him the weapon. But my character was a rogue, which did not take insult lightly. But since killing other players was taboo at this particular table, I had to use other means. I managed to get a hold of a poison that was essentially a hyper laxative and used it on Diego in such a manner to where he ended up soiling himself in the middle of town square during a festival. It ended up becoming a running gag for years, even though every now and then we will still ask him, "Why'd you poop your pants, Diego? Why'd you poop your pants?" I play a Tabaxi monk in my current campaign. I joined a little after the rest of the party, so I was new while the others were already acquainted. I wanted to bewilder them as soon as possible, and upon seeing an opportunity, took it. The party went ahead to raid a lizard folk camp where we were ambushed by scouts, and they took all our gear. People were struggling to find ways out of the binds, but then I realized as a monk I can use magic stuff with my hands, so no equipment was needed. I proceeded to burn the ropes and freed us all, only to be greeted by 15 or so lizard folk outside of the tent we were trapped in. After rolling an @20 on an athletics check, I backflipped into the middle of them and used my Fist of 4 Thunders, paralyzing all of them. Upon all of the lizards falling, I said to the party, "Why do you all look so shocked?" Haha, that's a good one. My Tiefling Grave Cleric has become friends with a Wereraven Rogue who'd multi-classed into Warlock after 2 near-death situations, one requiring Revivify, and I'd used Commune to give him direct access to Asmodeus to make the deal. A rock, giant fuck-off bird, has ambushed us and grabbed my friend, slams him into an ice shelf, knocking him out completely. My cleric runs across the open field at top speed, using move and dash to slide into place beside him, using healing word to bring him back enough for us to work on him. I yelled as we prepare to keep fighting, "You'll not die here, friend. Asmodeus shall see you ride back into his plane on a winged whore if I have anything to say about it." My DM was trying out something new. He had found a random effect table that he was going to use for crits. It will become clearer later in the story, but he didn't look very closely at all the effects. I think I was the first person he got to use it on. I was a barbarian, and I punched an enemy in the head. Different story. And the random effect was something along the lines of I broke his eye socket, so anyone hitting him from that side had advantage. But I caught a peek of the table my DM was using, and I saw one thing: create bees. So I asked to look at the table. I read it aloud and very dramatically exclaimed, "I want to know how you can hit something so hard that it creates life." My party consisted of 2 barbarians, 1 berserker, and 1 legendary wrestler, a druid fighter, a warlock, a rogue, and a paladin. I'm the fighter, and the thing with him is that he acts all serious and calculated and stuff, but in reality he is goofy and stupid. So we fought this gargantuan water spirit by the lake, and my fighter had this brilliant idea to have the wrestler barbarian throw him into the spirit. DM goes like, fuck it, I'll allow it, and so there flies my fighter, Superman pose, with his sword ready to stab. And of course, the expected happens. He gets stuck inside the water spirit. As the party continues combat, the DM ends it by revealing that it was a ruse all along, and the spirit was testing our berserker barbarian on her character arc. But more importantly, the spirit was flirty AF. You'll never see a thirstier water nymph than this one, asking the party to dinner, dropping down pickup lines, very suggestively complimenting our appearances, and now the whole party was like, oh, okay, hold on there. Keep it in your pants. And while the whole party was trying to ask her questions for our current quest, my fighter, blushing like a tomato, suddenly realizes, oh God, I was just inside her. My players were interrogating a meek kobold they captured about the layout of the dungeon they were in, the traps, what kind of creatures were roaming around, etc. The kobold was terrified and told them everything they wanted to know. Once the party had their information, the kobold asked if there was anything else they wanted to know. One of my players, playing a chaotic evil half-orc barbarian named Dine, with a double-ended sword, said, "What your insides look like," and proceeded to open the kobold like a sardine can with his blade. I was stunned for like 20 minutes. It caught me completely off guard. Every time I'd have a bad guy show up and say something intimidating, my cleric would, without fail, just respond, "Okay." "I will cleave the flesh from your bones." "Okay." "I have grown more powerful than you could possibly imagine." "Okay." "You know not what powers you toy with." "Okay." Every single time. Curse of Strahd early spoilers, if you care about that kind of thing. After dropping my 3-player characters in Barovia and having them walk to the village of Barovia, literally could have named the damn village anything else, I roped them into the death house via the 2 restless spirit children essentially trapped in the house, begging for someone to go inside and get their brother, Walter. For anyone who has run Curse of Strahd before, it's almost comical how many times screaming and defenseless kids is used as a plot hook, this being the first one. For context, my PCs are a true neutral human ranger sorcerer, Lux, essentially building his own take on Boba Fett, a chaotic good tiefling wizard, Lyser, that used to teach magic for many years before retiring, and a lawful good halfling fighter, Talon, who used to be a noble but has since left his comfort and nobility with all but his legacy and a squire. Now, about Talon. The person playing Talon isn't the best role player, admittedly, seeing as Curse of Strahd is the first campaign they've been in where their actions have consequence, and there isn't much of an opportunity to seduce the big bad evil guy. Since the start, they have grown a lot, and the other PCs and I are hella proud of them finding some footing. But this was a standout moment for all of us. The first 2 PCs stumble into a room containing the specter of the house's maid. She tells the PCs a bit about the children of the death house and its previous inhabitants before being abandoned and lost to time. Upon being asked where Walter was, she pointed to a shut door, which led to a nursery, of which she warned, "Please be quiet, he is sleeping." And then Talon walked in. Before the first 2 could open the door, he says he barges into the nursery and looks at the crib. I tell him he just sees a blanket curled up with something inside. He exits the nursery and says, "Fuck them kids." And it's stuck. It's been quoted after every time a child has been saved or a near-death encounter has subsided, which I take as just the flagship of, damn, Barovia is scuffed as fuck, but honestly, I don't blame them. Fuck them kids. Alright, so, me, half-elf rogue fighter, and a buddy, Human Warlock, were at a pretty big Ren fair, and there was a D&D table playing quick one-shots for anyone who needed a D&D fix. So we play at this table and wind up fighting a medium-sized blue dragon. As the fight goes on, he goes down, and I've been dodging the fuck out of all the attacks, so I have all of my hit points left. The dragon goes to finish him off, and I jumped in the way because he hired me for protection. I'm not getting paid if he KOs. I tank the hit and use a free action to chuck a potion at him, which he drinks and gets back up. He says, "I didn't deserve that," pulls his pipe out of his cloak, lights it with an eldritch blast, and fucking nat 20s the hit, taking out what was left of the dragon's HP and killing it. Side note, he totally deserved that. We only got into this fight because he insulted the dragon to his face. I was the DM, and my player was playing as a Loxodon fighter. He loved getting straight in the midst of battle, no matter the danger. It was the beginning of the campaign, and I threw a few weakling monsters at the party. A few Sturges. Sturges are them mosquito and hummingbird mutant things. I made one of the party members roll for perception. It was the Loxodon, of course, and he heard the flapping wings of the Sturges, helping the players not get ambushed by the monsters. While he made the check, he said, "I spike Sturges." We all thought he may have misspoken, saying to, "I spy Sturges." So we continued with the combat. Skip to the end of the battle when the Sturges have all flopped dead on the ground. I asked them what they wanted to do. Mr. Loxodon says, "I spike Sturges." The rest of us look up in confusion, and I ask him, "You what?" He repeated, "I spike the Sturges." I let him have his fun. You pick up the wriggling creature that is heaving its last breath, make an athletics check to volleyball spike the Sturge. Guess what? Nat 20. The poor thing just gets demolished. Its corpse is volleyball spiked to oblivion. Now, every time my friend says, "I spike insert creature here" before a battle. Since the Sturge, he has went on to obliterate imps, bandits, goblins, halflings, and gnomes. A hearty hello to all my dedicated, dear and darling diminutive little daffodils still watching this video at this point. Thank you so much for photosynthesizing the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed it. Some quick business. We live stream every Sunday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT. Please check out our merch store below if you feel like showing Rip Daddy some love and tenderness. It helps us keep this ever-growing ship at sea, and we are grateful for all the support you have supplied. Please check out our subreddit, r/MrRipper, where fine folks such as your fine self have been finding a home for your favorite D&D fables. If you're a DM or a player looking for a party, or if you just want to hang out, our Discord server has over 1,500 D&D obsessed new friends for you to connect and roll some dice with. So please pop over there and let the record state that I warned you that it's definitely chaotic something in there. So be mindful and read the rules. Don't make our beloved mods, admins, and attack squirrels have to actually do their job. It's hard enough just keeping up with general chat these days. Poor wretched souls, bless their hearts. Anyway, if you love me and want me to be happy, please check out my website, www.davemakesnoises.com. I love you. Rip Daddy loves you. Brian loves you. Nolan loves you. We're truly honored that you choose to spend your precious time with all of us. I am so grateful for this community. We are so lucky to have you. Now go dust off that dice tower and start rolling them bones. Please sub for Nat 20s, practice awareness, come hang out with us on the stream, subreddit, and Discord. Maybe check out some merch from our merch store. We'll always be glad to see you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.